Now, 52,000 people die every year from sepsis. That's a number, a frightening number, but for those bereaved, each is a precious human being. The BAFTA award-winning actor Jason Watkins and his wife Clara lost their daughter Maude to sepsis. She was 2 years old. That was 12 years ago. Now they're campaigning to raise awareness of sepsis and have a documentary being aired tonight. And Jason and Clara are with me now. And first of all, Clara, just take us through the beginning. Maude had a respiratory infection and you took her to hospital twice.
Yeah.
What happened?
So it was the week between Christmas and New Year, the week of sort of where you don't know what day it is and when there's a sort of skeletal staff at you know, in the A&E. We took it to the GP first, who said, well, it should have really gone by now. And she advised us just for safety to go to A&E. So we took her to A&E and I had a consultant there who said, it's fine, it's croup and a chest infection, she'll be fine, don't worry. I was like, are you sure? Because the GP said, no, it's fine. So they sent me home with her with some steroids. And then the next day, which was the 31st of December, her condition worsened and she was having problems breathing. And it was really scary because she really couldn't find her breath. And we still thought, oh, this chest infection is really bad. So we had to make a sort of split-second decision as to whether we should just jump in our car and drive to the hospital or call an ambulance. We decided to just jump in the car. So we took her to A&E and Jason ran into A&E with her and...
Yeah, and I ran into triage and, you know, said, I need someone to see my daughter. And so I was seen, I mean, probably in exactly the same spot where you had gone the previous day and was met by the doctor on call and then latterly the paediatrician on call. And they said, yes, it's croup. And, you know, I was explaining. She was given gas and air and obviously it was quite serious. But I don't think they were really fully aware of the kind of narrative of what we'd just been doing, running through a hospital with a child that would... Anyway, they calmed her down, had more antibiotics and was given more steroids. And then her temperature began to fall and so she was discharged again, which is often the case when they feel that a child would be more comfortable at home. So even though my instincts were this is wrong and weird, I've got to go with what the medical practitioners are telling me. So we took her home and we put her in her cot, and this was New Year's Eve, obviously. We were going to go out, weren't we, earlier on in the evening? But we put her and lay in her cot, and then in the morning, Bessie came in, our elder daughter.
Our older daughter.
Who shared a bedroom with Maude and said, I can't wake Maude. So we knew, didn't we?
Yeah, I just instinctively knew that something very terrible had happened. I think also because she was always up early and she wasn't up.
And your mind starts playing tricks then. Everything goes in a bit slow motion. Yeah, and I went into the room and it was clear that she had died, yeah.
What I can't compute is what I read about what you say about feeling responsible yourself for not knowing that it was sepsis. I mean, doctors didn't know that it was sepsis. You are beating yourself up over this.
Yeah. I mean, and in fact, I've just had a tweet as well with somebody saying exactly the same thing, and I said to her straight away, it is not your fault. It isn't your fault. It's so hard as a parent to feel that it isn't. You feel that you're responsible for your child's well-being, and it's a very difficult one to shift. It proves how difficult and complex sepsis is for parents to recognise the signs and for medical practitioners. There are many things that you've got to adjust. Your life is changed forever, isn't it?
But doctors didn't really know. I mean, clearly, I mean, we met when I was an ambassador of a sepsis charity. You came along and it was my wife as a doctor who told me to do this because she said doctors didn't know enough about it.
Yeah,
and people don't know enough about it. And so my question is, this documentary, is that about getting the message out?
I mean, it is very much so. It's also very much about loss, child loss, but it's also about getting the message out about awareness of sepsis, that, you know, you can, as a parent, you know, it's all on the UK Sepsis Trust website, those signs, those vital signs of sepsis that occur possibly behind presenting symptoms. So you may be thinking that the child has pneumonia or a chest infection, and then underneath there's lurking other things where, you know, the brilliant immune system that the body can generate begins to turn itself as a negative force and starts closing down organs, and it's very difficult to spot that. So, yeah.
But, Clara, doing it, you know, with a documentary, that involves opening yourselves up in a very raw way, I imagine. You know, there's a moment in it where you go through Maude's things. How difficult was it to do? That was
difficult. I'd say it was probably one of the most difficult things I've done since she died. And I didn't know whether I would actually be able to go through all her belongings until the sort of last possible second. They were there, they were in the room. I'd never been particularly sentimental about things, her stuff. I very much was like, it's not her, it's her stuff. But because they've been in storage at my friend's house for 12 years, they've taken on this massive significance. And so going through her belongings was all these memories. You know, we kind of opened the zip and it was like you know, I could smell her, and just the feel of it. And you just remember it was really extraordinary, and it was not the most pleasant thing. And afterwards, I thought I shouldn't have done that. And then I thought, actually, it was good. We took some things and we gave the rest back to my friend, and she's put them back in her attic. And I sort of feel if we never have to do that again, it's OK.
See, it's interesting you say that. I just wonder whether there's something about this as well, apart from raising awareness, in which it's cathartic in any way? I mean...
Yeah, we kind of been wrestling with that,
I know.
we? And you want it to be, of course, you want it to be a kind of catharsis that you've examined and gone back. And
is that just a cliché?
It's really hard to make.
Yeah.
You know, every time we have a therapy, if we've been to when we used to go to Slough and stuff and we thought about Maude, it always brought us together. So it's exhausting emotionally, and this was times 10, wasn't it?
It was very hard.
So it did bring us together, but in terms of catharsis, I think you need to think clearly and have help in the way that you think to get through these things.
So you said earlier on something quite interesting. It's also about child loss as well as about sepsis. Is there still a taboo, do you think, about losing a child and talking about it and dealing with it?
I mean, yes, and I mean, it's almost like mental illness, isn't it? That people are very scared to talk about it because they're scared that it might happen to them, or that people in their family are affected by it. And child bereavement it's like such a taboo subject. How do I talk to somebody who's lost a child? It must be so difficult. They must be feeling desperate, or, you know, I don't want to talk to them about that because I don't want to have to think about it. I don't want to entertain the fact that my own child might die. So there becomes perhaps a bit of a schism between...
But also, I think people don't want to talk about it to us, certainly now, so many years on, because they think, I don't want to remind them. They look like they're having a nice day. I don't want to mention Maude because they might feel sad. And I think, you know, most bereaved parents that I have spoken to and now work with, they love when people talk about their child, even if their child died 20 years before. It's joyful to hear their child's name and to know that they're still thought about. And I think we feel the same. We love it when people talk about Maude, because it's sort of, that's what keeps her alive.
Yeah, and so not only talking about, you know, talking about it, you're looking at me that way, I've taken over it, haven't I? We've been talking a lot about press today and trying to find a way of talking about it. And I often stamp on your toes, don't I? So I apologise for that. But I mean, you know...
Could you tell that I was looking at you like...
Yeah, you had that look. I mean, that's one of the great things that we discovered, how close we are, isn't it? That we understand each other. We've been on this journey together, and it's so wonderful to have Clara in this here now, having talked a lot on my own about it, particularly sepsis.
Well, look, you're doing a very important thing. Do you think more people do know about sepsis now?
I think they do. And I know that, for example, you know, there was some... Yesterday, I think I saw some signage going up on ambulances. They do know about it, but you can always investigate more. There are 13,000, we think, preventable deaths. So a preventable death is a death that should not have happened. Out of that number that you quoted,
See, that's the thing
52,000.
about sepsis.
Yeah. And it's a very cruel
preventable,
thing.
isn't it?
If it's caught early.
If it's caught
And
early.
you can see on the website, sepsis, if people want to see, what...
Yeah, those signs are there.
So, look, we've only got a minute or so left, but I just wanted to ask you finally, we talk about Maude, we don't know what she was like. What was she like? What are your memories of her? What sort of little girl was she?
Well, I would just say that it's been difficult this week, but she's very much been present. And when we had a screening the other night in a cinema, we had friends and people helping to point people towards the transmission on Thursday. To see her on the big screen, those little videos that we took on our phones, to see her that size really did... It was very emotional, but really brought her back, and that was wonderful.
She was a really happy child. She was easy. I think it's very easy to kind of make her a sort of, perfect being because she's not here to do anything wrong. But actually, she really was a very happy, joyful, sweet-natured, lovely child who laughed all the time, and she was just joyous, really.
Well, listen, thank you very much for coming in. You're doing a very good thing. A lot of respect for that. Good luck with the programme, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming in. Thank you.